In the last video, we learned the definition of balance of payments. In this video, we'll study several typical BOP transactions with examples. Here are several examples of BOP transactions from US perspective. All the examples are from our English textbooks. The first one, Honda US, is the distributor of cars manufactured in Japan by its parent, Honda of Japan. Should the transaction of Honda US be recorded into the BOP of the US? In other words, is the transaction of Honda US is a transaction between resident and non-resident. Honda US is a Japanese company in the US. It is in charge of selling cars produced by its parent company in Japan. It doesn't launch out production activity in the US, so the Honda distributor in the US should be regarded as a non-resident of the US. Its selling of Japanese cars in the US is the import of the US. Here, please pay attention, as I have always stressed that the key to judge whether an economic unit is a local resident or not is whether it conducts production activities in the local place. The example of a Honda distributor and other examples of students, patients, and tourists in foreign countries do not conduct production activities. They all are regarded as non-residents of the local place, where in other situations, exported laborers or immigrants in foreign countries usually are regarded as residents of the country in which they are staying, because usually they conduct production activity in the local place. The second, US-based firm Fleur Corp manages the construction of a major water treatment facilities in Bangkok, Thailand. US company set up a factory in Thailand. It is an activity of investment overseas. The US company should be regarded as a non-resident of Thailand, and the transaction of foreign direct investment is taken place between resident and non-resident, which should be recorded in the US BOP. Please be careful. In the example, if we are not considering the US company's investment activity in Thailand, it is production activity in Thailand, then the US company will be regarded as a resident of Thailand. If the company sells its product to the US, will be regarded in the US BOP. If the company sells its product in Thailand, the sale won't be written in both countries' BOP. The third, US subsidiary of French firm Saint-Gobain pays profit dividends back to parent firm in Paris. In this example, the transaction is US subsidiary of French firm paying profit back to parent firm, because profit comes from production activity. Here, the US subsidiary of the French firm is regarded as resident of the US, so its payment of profit to French parents is taken place between resident and non-resident of the US, should be recorded in US BOP. If we are considering the French firm's U.S. subsidiary selling product in the U.S., then the selling is taken place between resident and resident, should not be recorded in the BOP of the U.S. The first, an American tourist purchases a small Laponia necklace in Finland. U.S. tourists in foreign country are U.S. resident and a non-resident of the foreign country. Their consumption in foreign country is regarded as import of the U.S., same as students and patients. No matter how long they stay in a foreign country, they are regarded as non-residents of the local country. The fifth, a Mexican lawyer purchases a U.S. corporate bond through an investment broker in Cleveland. U.S. non-resident buys U.S. firm bond. It is a transaction between non-resident and resident, should be recorded in the BOPs. Here are some more exercises. Which item should be recorded into the BP's China? The first one, the salary of a Chinese employee who works in a Chinese embassy in a foreign country. The Chinese embassy in a foreign country is the resident of China. The Chinese employee works there is the resident of China. So, the transaction is taken place between resident and resident, should not be recorded into BOP. The second, the salary of a Chinese employee who works in a German embassy in China. The foreign embassy in China is non-resident of China. The Chinese employee works there is a resident of China. The transaction of paying salary from Germany embassy in China to the Chinese employee is a transaction between non-resident and resident, should be recorded in the Chinese BPs. The third, a Chinese company invests in Singapore to set up a factory. The products of the factory are sold back to Chinese or in the Singapore market. Chinese company invests in Singapore and set up a factory, should be recorded in the BOPs. Sales of products back to China should be recorded in BOP, while sales in local market should not be recorded. The first, salary of Chinese employee who works in a Japanese firm in China, not be recorded, because it is a transaction between resident and resident. The fifth, scholarship gained by a Chinese student who studied in a university in the U.S. should be recorded. It is a transaction between resident and non-resident. The sixth, a Chinese purchases bonds of Siemens China, should be recorded. Be careful with FDI company. When its related investment or financing activities are considered, it will be regarded as non-resident of the host country. When its production activities are considered, it's regarded as a resident of the host country. In this video, we studied the typical BOP transactions with examples. To judge whether a transaction should be recorded into BOP account or not should be recorded, the K is to judge whether it is taken place between resident and non-resident. Please be noted, students, patients, and tourists in a foreign country should be regarded non-resident of the local place. Embassy of a country in a foreign country is a resident of its mother country. When we considering FDI firm, if it's conducting investment or financing activity, it is regarded as non-resident of the host country. If it conducts production activity, it should be regarded as a resident of the host country. That's all for the section. Thank you.